Radiant team pick.
Alright folks, we are back at the Chicago Dota 2 Open at the Ignite Gaming Lounge, sponsored by SteelSeries, Ignite, Merlini, Dota, Dustoff, and held right here in Chicago. I'm your caster, VeXx. We had to remake lobby, so I'm just repeating myself for the purposes of when I cut this to a VOD. My co-caster today, El Presidente, how you doing, man?
I am doing very well, and I am actually surprised that of all the heroes, Weaver is the first pick over something like a Wisp.
Yeah, interesting that IO actually wasn't banned. I have seen it be a first ban in every single game of this tournament so far. This is the first one I've seen where it hasn't been banned, so we'll see if TMCP, who for some reason decided to temporarily rename themselves Wat Wat in Butt for the purposes of this game. But yeah, I mean, Weaver, another extremely strong hero. He's become, I think, very fashionable in the TI3 / post-TI3 metagame. He's really, really strong, obviously. He can serve a lot of different roles. He scales well with farm. He's annoying to kill. Pretty much everything you want in sort of a greedy carry type hero these days. But they actually, so a little bit of Wisp Chicken being played. Rubik and Lifestealer coming through. I actually heard about this. I heard that VeXx, in a previous round, intentionally let through IO because they have sort of counter strats prepared. So they had somebody played CKIO against them, and apparently they crushed it. So I don't know. Maybe it's some sort of counter strat. I know that at TI3, CKIO was its only win was Game 5 of the Grand Finals, but it lost like 5 times.
I don't know. My personal problem with... first of all, I don't think CK Wisp is really the best combo for Wisp. While CK, you get that instant Tether Stun, that's awesome. You get the global relocate, which is awesome. Like, those are awesome. But CK already attacks pretty fast, and the overcharge bonus isn't really as significant for him. I'd rather tie him to a stronger carry, the Wisp. Honestly, like the Lifestealer, or to be honest, you don't really need to tether the Lifestealer, because Lifestealer can just infest and you can go do some 3-man surprise ganking, right?
Yeah.
Or a Tiny. I think Tiny has stronger ganking potential and stronger carry potential.
Sure.
Especially tied to the attack speed and the damage reduction that Overcharge provides, which makes Tiny a nightmare to kill when you have a flat 20% damage reduction on top of his already really low armor.
Right.
So
we've definitely seen a huge diversification of what people run with IO. I think we even had like Morphling at TI3, like Morphling IO.
Didn't work.
I think they won. They won that game.
Nah, Dignitas lost that game.
Oh, alright. Well, it was neat, even if it lost.
it was cool, but it just didn't work that well. The problem with Morphling plus Wisp is that Morphling's a very flexible mobile hero as it is, whose primary mechanics function around basically escaping death no matter how much you try to kill him.
Right.
So he just farms, whereas Wisp is more an aggressive ganking-oriented hero post-6 and almost contributes nothing to a lane pre-6. So
right. What do you?
It just doesn't really.
What do you think about the Sand King second pick? By the way, what's the strategy behind this?
To confuse, because Sand King is never gonna get banned. Like, when was the last time you saw a Sand King banned?
Yeah, I see him banned against like Southeast Asian teams quite a bit, especially Orange, because they have really good Sand King players.
But Orange also picks random heroes.
Sure.
So I don't know.
I mean, this could be the first salvo of like a 4-hero pocket strat run, right? Like if Sand King is the least weird of your 4 weird hero picks, you can definitely pick him this early. One thing that I found in this tournament has been, because so much of it is best of 1, teams have really been running, up until this point at least, day 1, we had a lot of teams running the same lineup repeatedly, because, you know, it's the lineup that they practiced, they felt that it was versatile, like it was their good pocket strat, and in a best of 1 you want to sort of go to what your best, most pull-offable pocket strat is. Like, the Shibi team, so TMCP, are playing Dire now. Yesterday they were running a lot of Gyro solo safe and then Visage Venge tri-lanes. So they ran that in, I think, 3 different games. And then 2HU, who I think they may have gotten eliminated, actually. Yeah, 2HU unfortunately got eliminated. We're running Pudge support all day, which was amazing, by the way.
I really wish I could have casted that. That sounds so much fun. Looks like VeXx is currently running Ultra Wombo combo here with Sand King, Epicenter, Fatal Bonds, and the Chaotic Offering. That is practically team wiping by itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. The problem is I'm just not a big fan of Sand King as a hero. As far as his stun is concerned, he doesn't contribute anything at level 1 because the range on Burrow Strike is so awful. Right? His his Cossack Finale is not very good because it does take up that crucial orb slot. It takes away farm from your carries, and unless you're running it solo mid against another melee solo mid, then it's worthwhile, but it's an overall mediocre ability. Honestly, in most cases, stats are going to be more effective. And then, I don't know, and then the Epicenter has that channel time, which is very easy to abuse, and it's also one of the easiest spells for Rubik to steal.
Yep, that's certainly true. Rubik could be incredibly potent, and in some respect, haha. Well, I was right. The Sand King was the least weird pick, so that's why I picked it second.
Well, oh no, so Spectre is currently the least weird pick. That's just.
Yeah, but you definitely don't want to pick Spectre second. People really smell something weird if
Radiant
you do that, I guess.
team ban.
So this is an interesting little draft here. This does give them even more. So Spectre adds a little bit of global presence. She adds AoE as well because her illusions are now really beefy. If you level Desolate to max first, you can do a tremendous amount of damage if you teleport in and the enemy team isn't super clumped. And as they're running away from the Warlock Golem, you can just mop them up. So this is kind of neat. It's definitely a combo-based lineup. My one concern is, how do they deal with Lifestealer? I feel like that's still the strongest guy on the map. I guess Weaver actually is favorable Lifestealer matchup. Oh, I do like the Veno ban from TMCP. I think that's really smart.
Weaver is definitely going to be the strongest hero against Lifestealer given VeXx's lineup. He can pick up either a Desolator or a Scotty. Scotty is actually very good on Weaver against Lifestealer. It provides a lot of tank. Most importantly, it provides a very powerful slow that Lifestealer cannot avoid.
Radiant team pick.
I don't really like how TMCP's lineup kind of matches up against VeXx's, though. When you look at it, VeXx is a really strong 5-man, basically, where they're going to probably get to level 6 on all of the support heroes, about level 10, 11 on Spectre, 10, 11 on Weaver, 10 or 11, I guess, on Warlock mid, and they're just going to push through, and they're not going to stop. Whereas What in the Butt has a more ganking-oriented lineup, and that's not going to work when VeXx is 5-manning.
Yeah, especially with the addition of the Storm Spirit, this is now an extremely ganks-focused lineup. Sorry about the in-game sound, folks. It should be working now. I forgot to set open mic because I'm incompetent in every respect. And I forgot that this actually broadcasts in-game as well, that people can spectate.
I remember. Except then I guess it just felt like I was talking to myself the whole time.
Yeah. Somebody was like, I don't think it works unless your co-caster is just mumbling to himself. And I was like, well, no, I am saying things. I am, in fact, speaking. So,
no, I have become schizophrenic, and you are now a victim of my imagination.
Exactly. All right, so let's introduce the teams. I'll get VeXx. I did cast TMCP twice or 3 times yesterday, so I wanted to make sure that I give due course to all the other teams that are still in the competition. VeXx in the winner's bracket here. They want to continue. If they win this, they're guaranteed a spot in the grand finals. Lights will be on the Spectre in this defensive tri-lane. He'll be joined by Euphorus on the Sand King and Masterman on the Lina. That leaves Care Bear Dragon to go up into the middle as Warlock. We saw some very effective mid-Warlock yesterday. We'll see how it goes today. And then, it's a little face, but I don't know how we refer to this guy. 90_06. I'm just going to call him 90 on the Weaver in the offlane.
Up for TMCP, we got Barbara Leo, or Lee. I'm just going to say Lee, because I think the O's are just like for decoration.
On the
Rubik, MQV on the Bane. On the Lifestealer carry is going to be For My Queen. Solo mid is going to be Shibi on the Storm Spirit, and then in the off lane is going to be HACKLESHOTS on the Windrunner, as if he is announcing what's going to happen.
Yeah, I have actually not seen this guy on Weaver this competition. In June, when they won, he did have a pretty strong Windrunner, so we'll see how it goes. The other lane I'm going to be watching very intently is this mid. So.
Oh, what? What is... Oh, there's an instant smoking onto mid.
Oh, and actually there's a lot of trouble for 9006. He's going to Shukachi his way out. He is seen with the Sentry Ward. There's the lift. They actually hit a Nightmare at the same time. He might be okay. Meanwhile, in the middle, they try to put Alpha Gank on Shibi, but he goes way back, and 9006 is extremely low. They'll bring him down. First blood to the Rubik, and a nice setup by TMCP there. Managing to shut down the Weaver for long enough, taking advantage of that level 1 Shukachi cooldown being so long. And that's a quick first blood. They don't manage to get the first blood with their smoke to the middle. It's very tough. Like you said, the Sand King's very, very short range on that first rank of Burrow Strike. It's also a lot harder, I feel, to do it from Radiant because the approach angle from here is really, really tough with the tower usually sees you. Whereas if you're coming from Dire safe, your Sand King is a better shot because it's coming like this.
Yeah, I do completely agree. They actually kind of wrapped around hoping to approach from this angle here, but Shibi was just standing down here, so he just backed up this way. And that's again the big problem with Sand King. It's like, if Sand King is standing here, he can like stun up to here.
Yeah.
Which is awful. And honestly, for all intents and purposes, I personally favor the Earthshaker support over the Sand King. Primarily because of the range of initiation that Earthshaker provides, even at level 1.
Right.
It's like a 1200 range Fissure, and that's hard to compete with compared to the 350 range Burrow Strike.
Right. Interesting battle developing up in the middle. Currently, Shibi is definitely exceeding what Care Bear Dragon is managing to do. Warlock is a strong laner, but the presence of the bottle on Storm Spirit from a very early time and the lack of a bottle on Warlock has contributed to Storm just being able to very, very effectively harass Warlock, whose heal right now is only on level 1. I think he has his bottle and it's going to him now, but it is only a ground courier for VeXx versus a flying courier for Shibi. So, what do you think about these 3v1 lanes? I know Weaver gave up first blood, but do you expect him to die again? And how do you expect HACKLESHOTS to do as the Windrunner here?
One, I don't really expect Weaver to die again in this lane. I don't think he's going to get caught out the same way. And every time they do try to go on him again, that's again a pretty mild investment. And the problem is, yeah, if 9-0 moves in like this, right, they're forced to drop sentry wards outside of lane, which makes his laning much safer, right?
Right.
So they can't afford to drop it off there, but then he's going to get some XP from over in the neutrals if he can pick off some creeps. But they're actually moving on him right now, and he's going to run over the sentry ward again.
He
I
is.
think he's dead.
There's the lift. He Shukachi's away as he can, but the excellently timed open wounds in 9006 taken down by the Fade Bolt. Rubik scoring another kill, perhaps unnecessarily. I think somebody else probably could have picked it up, but that's 2 deaths for Weaver, having not the easiest time, and I gotta say levels, oh man, HACKLESHOTS with a nice shackle, but he decides not to pursue the power shot. Now he's in a bit of trouble, but Lights is very low. There's the Burrow Strike, basically defensive, so Spectre can get away. How did Spectre get so low? HACKLESHOTS just turning it right around. Power shot brings Sand King to 6 HP, and Windrunner is kind of dominating this lane. 1v3. Lights is in a lot of trouble now. A couple more hits and a good power shot would do it. He finds him out. One more hit. He gets it. He gets the 3-0 advantage for TMCP and Euphorus and Masterman. They just need to flee. He double kills! He gets the triple by throwing out a power shot and perfectly nailing the 2 supports. And Elprez, I think we just saw a 1v3 lane won by HACKLESHOTS as Windrunner.
I think we can just completely call hacks on that. That was absurd. Oh man, like I didn't think he was gonna die of that. Once Sand King got away with like 7 HP, right?
Yeah.
I thought Hackle was just gonna let it go at that point, just focus on the tower to get some damage out. But Light spent way too much time sticking around.
Yeah.
Euphorus let his I don't know what he had. I don't think he was regenerating very much and got hit by the neutrals a whole lot here.
He did, yeah. One of the really tough things... Oh, actually, trouble for 9006 up there again. They have another sentry placed. There's the open wounds. It's a little... I mean, the sinking time wasn't great with these Shukachi, so he gets away from that one. But he just desperately needs XP. There's 17 denies for My Queen up in this top lane, and this is ensuring that 9006 just can't get the levels. He needs higher ranks of Shukachi so that he can actually have a lower CD. And man, they've actually abandoned the tri-lane. They're going 2v1, accepting the fact that Windrunner is going to level. Is this a good decision?
Frankly, no. The problem is, again, Euphorus is Sand King. Yeah. Sand King does not lane support well. He's great as a roaming support. I still think there are better roaming supports, but that's where his specialty lies as a hero. and you're not going to really support a Weaver with a Sand King. Like, you can't run up and harass. No, you're just going to get harassed down instead. Especially against a Lifestealer. You can't just run up and stun him. Right? If
the smoke egg onto Warlock, the telekinesis, brain sap, and Shibi's right on top of it. He doesn't even. He does drop the chaotic offering, but it's. I don't think it's early enough to actually be able to kill anybody off. Unfortunately, probably would have been better off saving the CD there. He thought that he maybe could score a kill on Storm, but Storm had just enough mana to get away. I don't know. To me, this game is just like how even a couple decisions early game can really tip the balance. Because when they missed that smoke gank onto Storm Spirit. This lane, the bottom lane, pushed way up into Windrunner's tower. Windrunner got really good levels early on, much better than you would expect from an off-lane hero. By the time the supports came back, they were both level 1 to Windrunner's 3 or 4, and that's let HACKLESHOTS just play really, in like a really aggressive, muscular fashion in this mid lane.
Yeah, it's really difficult at this point, I think, for VeXx to kind of come back. They do have, again, I think, the stronger teamfight lineup. If it wasn't for the Weaver doesn't really contribute much to this team fight. I'm gonna be absolutely honest. He really doesn't. He does damage and he pushes towers and is capable of kiting the Lifestealer, but there's nothing stopping the Lifestealer from instead turning on rage, going after the Golem. Right. And that basically takes away all of Warlock's contribution to the fight. Uverus is way too far behind to even make his Sandstorm Epicenter combo happen. So
I guess Sandstorm.
Burrow Strike, Sandstorm, Epi, basically all of his spells.
Right.
All at once. He's got to just kind of roll his face in the keyboard, and eventually it works, right?
Right.
He's way too low level for that because of how poorly the bottom lane went.
Right.
And when you look at Spectre doesn't have her ult either. That's a big deal. Lina, again, I think they could have picked better team fighting supports, and yeah, this bottom lane.
Oh, Lights and Masterman completely caught out. There's the Fateful tossing through. Nice Light Striker rate of response, but Masterman, he's just way too low level to survive. Shibi picks up the kill. Care Bear Dragon is here. His ultimate is not available. He's throwing out Fatal Bonds on 2. Actually uses the Shadow Word offensively rather than trying to heal himself, but Shibi will not be brought down by this unless Lights can make something magical happen, but they see him. The Fatal Bonds is ticking down on Barbara. There's the Spectral Path, but Lights, he's shackled down by HACKLESHOTS, and that's a 9-0 scoreline along with the tower. And the 2 Fatal Bonds heroes walk away on low health but alive. And this is what this team loves to do. Any sort of advantage that they gain in laning, they're going to turn into massive and unimpeded mid-game aggression. And in this game, it's basically happening according to script for TMCP. This is what they want to do every game, and they're having a great time of it here in the Winners Bracket Final.
Yeah, Kerber is probably shooting himself in the foot right now for using that chaotic offering in the mid lane rather than down there. He would have actually snagged 2 kills for sure had he had the Golem.
And he had the CD was so down to almost nothing, but unfortunately it was just long enough that he couldn't use it after TPing. Yeah, it's a great point. I forgot about that, but yeah, I mean it's when you have a long CD ultimate like Warlock, and this is part of why I don't know what your take is on this, but I feel like one of the reasons heroes like Warlock and Tidehunter aren't really in vogue is just those CDs, all teams are sort of trying to force teamfights like once every 50 to 80 seconds, and if you have like 120-second ult, it just won't happen for every fight that you need it for.
Yeah, that is definitely the big problem with Tide. I don't know. I think Tide's laning is still pretty strong, even support. The minus armor on Gush, the attack damage reduction thanks to Anchor Smash. Yeah. But definitely the problem is that Tide is effectively a walking ultimate as it is.
Right.
So, it's hard to say. Warlock, I think, contributes more than just his ultimate in team fights, namely the Fatal Bonds. Fatal Bonds is OP as hell, but I don't know. It's like when it comes down to it, if you don't have the ultimate still, you're not contributing nearly as much as you normally would be.
A little bit of a cat and mouse game between Windrunner and the Courier there. Courier went all the way down to 19 HP, and Windrunner went to the secret shop to find it, but it did manage to get away just in time. They were frantically pinging the Courier to save it, because what is this, unusual war dog? Looks pretty nice. You don't want that to die. Oh, HACKLESHOTS. She's going to get power shot onto Care Bear. Actually, Shibi cleaning it up, but there's an entire team worth of VeXx here. Shibi getting down to about half health, but he's just so strong at this point. HACKLESHOTS actually finds the last hit on Lina. All these heroes are so incredibly low level. There's the Shackle. There's the power shot. They get Weaver too. HACKLESHOTS and Shibi at this point are a roaming ganking duo that VeXx's tools simply can't stop Euphorus in a bit of trouble as well. Will he have the mana to actually be able to burrow strike his way out of this? It may not matter. Lasso and Shackle. Sand King brought down 13-0 now the scoreline, with Windrunner participating in 10 of those 13 kills.
That was definitely a hackle shot right there. That was just a weird angle. It ended up latching to this tree right here, where Windrunner was standing here and Sand King was over here. So this is the regular line. This is the Shackle line.
Right. It is on an angle. Here's the Chaotic Offering. Care Bear Dragon trying to make something happen. He throws out the Fatal Bonds. It only hits 2. There's a Light Strike around to Barbaleo. HACKLESHOTS actually getting kind of low, but he uses his Wind Run, trying to get away from 9006, who continues to chase him, and Lights trying to pick up any kills that they can. They need to get on the board somehow. Now dueling with For My Queen, but this is a pretty beefy lifestealer, level 8 with Phase Boost Drums. They finally get the Burrow Strike through. That's 1 kill on the board. 1-14 now the line. Euphorus, oh man, HACKLESHOTS actually cleaning up somewhere in the back. He manages to kill off Weaver, who was still chasing him, and now Light's forced to flee. There's the Light Strike Ray Burrow Strike combo making something happen, but Euphorus, he's out of mana, he's out of tools, he gets brought down. 116, Light's now running, he's lassoed up in the Electric Vortex. Shippy's still chasing, out of mana, and they call the GG. VeXx, they do not want to play anymore, as they were just driven off the map completely. And whenever I see a game that's this lopsided, you have GG before 12 minutes, I gotta ask Elfrez, what's your take on this? Do you think this is a draft loss, or just complete outplay?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. One, HACKLESHOTS winning that tri-lane in the bottom against the tri-lane, that's a pure outplay. Two, well, VeXx did have the stronger team fight, and that's what I bring up. If they could have lasted a little bit longer, they stood a chance of turning the game around. WWIB or TMCP, whatever they decide to make their name for the next match, definitely had the stronger lanes. Bane and Rubik being much stronger laning supports than Lina and Sand King. So I think it was a little bit of both. Honestly, I think the Sand King was probably the biggest problem. He really couldn't make that gank on the Storm Spirit happen mid because of the short range initiation. He doesn't contribute anything when you're supporting a hero like Spectre who needs a strong babysitter. And then once they rotate him up to top lane support 9096 or 9006, he didn't do anything there either. So Sand King ended up feeling completely useless throughout most of the game.
Yeah. But, I mean, TMCP coming out looking extremely strong, I think. They definitely are continuing their run of being the most favored team, I think, in the competition. And I think some people are happy with that. I know that this is one of the teams repping Chicago. We had teams from pretty much all over the place. Wisconsin, Detroit, even some from farther away. So definitely TMCP putting on a show. This first game of Day 2 of the Chicago Dota 2 Open. I don't know if we have any of the losers bracket games available just yet. Otherwise, we will move after a short break into the losers bracket semi-final. Don't go away, we'll be back in just a few minutes.